Okay. Good morning to everybody. In the last class, we have discussed about entry fever, it's typhoid. Now today in this class, we will discuss about cholera. So, cholera is an acute diarrheal illness caused by Vibrio cholerae, an intestine bacteria. And coming to the morphology of the organism, so it is a gram-negative, rigid, curved rods. You can see on the figure, curved rods, rigid structure. It's a one-named, blinded, and it is a motile organism, and it is a non-sporing, non-capsulated, and aerobic and facultative anaerobic organism, and it is better grown in a pH 8.2. That is, it needs an alkaline media to grow and added sodium chloride. So initially, the organism was discovered by Roach in 1880. Before that, Pessini has observed he has not found any organism. So it is a rod-shaped curved ends, and if you see this clearly, you can see a rounded appearance which is resembling a comma. That's why in the olden days it is also called as Vibrio comma bacteria. And when in a culture and in a smear, they will be arranged not only in a comma shape, in also in a S shape and in a spiral shape. So when you take in a culture, in a film, in acute diarrhea patient, if you make a film, if they are arranged together or in a long chain, they give appearance of fishing stream appearance. That is one of the characteristic features. That is fishing stream appearance. So coming to the culture. So in the culture, this is divided into three parts. One is transport media, enrichment media, and plating media. Coming to the holding or transport media. There is a three media that is available. That is commonly used is Venkatraman Ramakrishnan, that is VR media, and a KP plane media, and another is autoclaved seawater. That is autoclaved seawater. And the enriched media are two. One is alkaline peptone water, and another is morphine transcolate tellurate peptone. And the plating media is alkaline boiled salt agar, that is BSA, and another is Monsar gelatin tolucate peptidase media, tellurate agar media, and TCBS media, which is now commonly used worldwide. So, organism. So, what are the risk factors? That means the cholera is more common in whom? The cholera is more common in purely sanitary conditions, and it is rare in the developed countries. Are common in Asia, Africa, and India also. In India also, the homeland for cholera is Brahmaputra of Bengal, and it is spreads through contaminated food and water, and raw or uncooked food, and also by seafoods, especially shellfish. And other that are more prone to are hypochlorika hydrochloria. That is means a patient with a absence of acid in the stomach, echlorhydria, and the patient with a chronic use of PPI, proton pump inhibitor, also more prone to cholera. And the type blood group O are a little bit resistant to this, but the reason is not known. So these are the countries, the black countries where they will imported the cholera from other countries, they are developed countries, and the remaining gray are endemic areas for cholera. And pathophysiology. Coming to the pathophysiology, before pathophysiology, you should know the toxin, about the toxin. The cholera toxin. The cholera toxin is a molecular weight of 84,000, and it contains A and B subunit. The B is for binding, and once the A subunit enters, the toxin enter into the enterocytes. The A again divided into two subunits A1 and A2. A2 is active, A1 is inactive. A1 helps in binding or in carrying A2 towards B, and they together enter into the cell and causes activates cyclic AMP and causes cellular secretion, that is small intestine diarrhea. Small intestine diarrhea. That all occurs in jejunum. So what he has said is a virulent cholera accumulates in the stomach produces a toxin. The toxin will bind to G protein receptors, that is receptor on the enterocytes, that is G gangliocytic protein, that is binds with the B subunit of a toxin and inactivates GTPase, G protein stuck in and position and increase the cyclic AMP. The activity NaCl influx into the intestinal lumen and drag the water into the lumen and lead to watery diarrhea. Very simple. The toxin is a molecular weight of 84,000. It contains two subunits. One is A and another is B. B is for binding and A is for again active form. A is contained two forms, A1 and A2. A2 is active form. Once it's binded, the A2 reacts with simple cyclic AMP in the cell and causes influx of fluid, and along with sodium influx of fluid into the small intestine. That leads to watery diarrhea. And coming to the signs and symptoms. So the common symptoms are profuse watery diarrhea, which is colorless and contains the mucus and no blood. Flecks of mucus will be there in the diarrhea, and the characteristic appearance is rice water appearance. That is a characteristic feature of diarrhea produced by cholera. Clinically also we will diagnose cholera by this appearance of diarrhea. And another is stomach pain and leg cramps, and the specialty of the diarrhea is profuse and it is effortless and painless. And the leg cramps, this is because of dehydration and electrolyte imbalance, and the patient may have a mild fever and vomitings are very rare, and because of dehydration the patient may have shrunken eyes and cheeks and the dryness of the mucous membrane and decreased urine output. The decreased urine output indicates the patient is landing in a renal failure. Again, coming to the diarrhea leads to fluid loss, that is water loss, that leads to hypovolemia and hypovolemic shock. So usually when there is a loss of 3 to 5% of the fluid of the body, there will be only body pains, mild fever. When there is a loss of more than 5%, and the patient will have hypovolemic shock and hypovolemia. And when there is a severe loss of fluid, that is more than 10%, then the patient will land in the dead end complication is renal failure and death. So patient will, the most dangerous among all the symptoms is excessive diarrhea, watery diarrhea. Sometimes what happens, within 24 hours there is a loss of almost 40% of the body water. So a patient with a shrunken eyes, with the dehydration, with a hypovolemic shock, who got admitted in the ICU, will the all picture together is called cholera crisis. The old term, nowadays it is not used. Cholera crisis. Coming to the diagnosis. The diagnosis is divided into two types. One is a clinical diagnosis and another is clinical diagnosis by presence of vomiting, watery diarrhea, which is rice water in appearance. Okay, with the history of travel and with the history of eating seafoods. And the differential diagnosis: E. coli, other bacterial food poisons, and viral gastroenteritis. Laboratory diagnosis are two. One is already I said, plating media, enrichment media, and transport media. First, you have to transport the stool, and you have to add in the enrichment media. Later, you have to culture. Another methods that I have done is PCR, monoclonal antibodies, stool stills. They are very costly. So laboratory diagnosis, these are culture, or the TCBS yellow color cultures. So this is important. String test used to separate Vibria species from other species. What is this string test means? What we will do is we'll take the culture and we'll add 0.5% sodium dioxalate and saline, and we'll take a string and we'll mix it. The turbidity will loss, and when we lift the string, there will be a thread-like structures. That is a string. This is what. This is almost diagnostic of cholera. This what I'm keeping a point here. This is almost diagnostic of cholera. So once again, I'm repeating the diagnosis because laboratory diagnosis cholera is a short notes. So coming to the laboratory diagnosis of the cholera. So there is a 3 steps you have to keep in mind. First, you have to collect the sample and enrich the sample and plating the or the media. How to collect and how to transport means they are the 2 medias, that is Venkatraman media, Venkatraman VR media, that is Venkatraman Ramakrishna media, and Kerry Blaine media, and auto received seawater. These are the 3. But among them, the commonly used is Venkatraman media. Venkatraman media. Next, once it is carried, and you have to collect the sample of at least 15 to 30 ml. If the sample is not available, you can take the swabs from rectal mucosa. If the swabs are not available, that is, once the diarrhea subsided, still you are suspecting, then you can go for rectal swab cultures. And enrichment media are 2. One is alkaline peptone water, and another is Moisturizing tellurate peptone water, and there are 4 plating media. One is alkaline bile salt agar, and another is GTTA, and another is TCBS media. The TCBS media is worldwide used. That is agar, what I am showing here. Okay. Next, coming to the treatment. So treatment coming to resuscitation and antibiotics. Resuscitation and antibiotics. So coming to the resuscitation, the main thing that you have to take care is fluid volume replacement. Because of diarrhea, there is a loss of fluid. Up to 80% of cases can be treated in hospitals. Oral rehydration. That means no need for antibiotic. Antibiotics are only supportive in the case of a cholera. So 80% of the patients will recover with the oral rehydration fluids, that is ORS, which is available. In the ORS, we can add a sterile added fluid. Sterile rich ORS is better than normal salt rich. Next is intravenous fluid. In intravenous fluid, for severe cases where the patient is in hypovolemia and in a shock, and patient is a renal fluid, pre-renal failure, we have to go for intravenous fluid. Among them, the better is isotonic fluid, that is Ringer lactate. And coming to the antimicrobial, that is antibiotics. The antibiotics that are used are commonly used are ciprofloxacin, and another is azithromycin, and before that, the drug of choice is tetracycline or doxy. So tetracyclines are usually not used in children because of they may get deposited in the bones. Before going to prevention, let me tell another thing is a patient with a cholera with a shock, the patient will have severe metabolic acidosis because of renal failure and because of loss of electrolytes from the body. Other laboratory investigations that are useful in cholera is ABG, acid base analysis, that is blood gas analysis, arterial blood gas analysis. So treatment is 2 parts. One is treatment proper and another is prevention. Coming to the treatment, 3 steps. Oral rehydration, 80% of the people will recover. Those with a severe dehydration, we need a intravenous fluids. And antimicrobial is a supportive. That means in a patient with a profuse diarrhea, to reduce the volume of diarrhea volume, we can give the antibiotics. The drug of choice is tetracycline or doxycycline, and you can also use ciprofloxacin or azithromycin. and prevention. So there are the vaccines that is available. One is a parental vaccine and killed cell wall vaccine and subunit B subunit vaccine. The B subunit where they will use a binding antibodies where it can prevent binding. So live attenuated CVD103 HCV vaccine. These are given for those who frequently travel to where there is a endemic area, countries where there are endemic for cholera. But the immunity is not more than 6 to 1.5 years. Better way, that is prevention, basic health medication, hygiene, and mass chemoprophylaxis, and the provision of the safe water and sanitation, and a comprehensive multidisciplinary action. That means all the departments like municipal and doctors, every should be involved whenever there is an epidemic, and approach and water sanitation, education, and communication.